We have a really special show today as we go in depth with one of our state's most dynamic cultural experiences happening at the Tesoro Cultural Center. Now, if you know the Fort Restaurant, you know about the Tesoro Cultural Center. They share the same property. Well, we start today with Holly Kinney. She's proprietress of the Fort Restaurant, and we're honored to have native flutist Eric Many Winds Herrera. Holly and Eric, welcome to the show this morning.
Thank you, Claudia.
Absolutely. Well, Holly, we'll start with you. The fort is one of those places that you absolutely must see. There's a lot of history there, but this used to be your home. Take us through the history of it.
Well, my parents were very creative advertising people, and they bought this beautiful property just outside of Denver with red rock on it, and they built an adobe replica of Bent's Old Fort, which was a famous fur trading fort in the 1830s. And it was originally to be a living history museum, but then we had to turn it into a restaurant at night to pay for the construction of all the adobe bricks that we built. So we serve foods of what they would have eaten at Bent's Fort, which would have been buffalo, elk, quail, American Indian foods. And it became very truly Colorado, uniquely Colorado cuisine. But it's also a living history experience of walking through the gates of the fort. You're going back in time to the 1830s. And of course, the dominant culture at Bent's Fort were the Indian culture, mostly the Cheyenne, the Southern Cheyenne, the Utes, the Lakota, Blackfeet, and the Pawnee, and the Kiowa. And so we formed Tesoro Cultural Center to teach school kids. We lead school tours, as well as do 2 big festivals a year, and one this coming weekend, which is our Tesoro Cultural Center Indian Market and Ceremonial Dance.
That is wonderful. It seems like so many great things all in one place, and what a neat place for you to learn a lot of history here. Now, a little bit later, we're going to focus on the delicious food you serve at the fort, including the famous brownies. But for now, let's focus on the Tesoro Cultural Center, because this is a big weekend for you guys. The Indian Market Ceremonial Dance coming, and there's a lot to learn, a lot to experience here. Tell me about it.
Well, we have invited the top 50 American Indian artists from all over the country to come and rent a booth and exhibit their art outside on the grounds of the fort. And there'll be jewelry making, sculptures, beautiful, this necklace I'm wearing is from Andy Marion. He's Dene or Navajo, and his bracelets and beautiful shopping, great fun for shopping. There'll be live hawks and eagles. There's going to be Indian storytelling in the teepees. There's going to be a ceremonial dances from the Southern Cheyenne Nation. There's going to be an honoring of American Indian veterans who fought for freedom. There are lectures going on about the amazing Indian flute and what meaning that is to us. So there's like many different fun things going on for families.
Right. And Eric, music is a big part of the event. As Holly mentioned, it's also a big part of your life. You are a flutist. How does this connect you to your ancestry?
Well, it connects because I'm part Blackfeet, my grandmother's side. And this is something that is, this style, if you do the college side of it, it's a little bit, it's not a little, it's indigenous to Colorado, the Northern Ute tribe of the early 1850s. Now, the ancestry goes well back to the Hopi Welland and the Anastasi and beyond. But this style, the 6-hole Southern Plains style, it had its beginning here in Colorado before the Indian Wars. Really? And it's such a part of my ancestry. And I've been so blessed of being part of the fort for, it'll be 21 years this month.
That's incredible.
And when I play there, I play both traditional but also some contemporized pieces as well. But the lecturers, I'll be the ones doing that.
I love that. Well, can you play something for us?
I can do that. And this is very special. This was
my father's favorite song.
It's called Fly to the Hawk.
He passed away in 2006. So we feel he's here with us when he plays this.
That's right.
Okay. incredible. Well, look, we're not done with you yet. We have so much more to learn, so stick around because they're going to be here throughout the hour. But for now, I want to give everybody some information on this weekend, everyone. So make sure you make plans for the 21st Indian Market and Ceremonial Dance. It happens this weekend, June 4th and 5th at the DeSoto Cultural Center. Parking is free and admission is free for kids 12 and under. Get all the details online, DeSotoCulturalCenter.org, or learn more about the music of Eric Many Winds Herrera at manywindsmusic.com. This segment was sponsored by the Fort Restaurant. Well, art is front and center at the Indian Market and Ceremonial Dance this weekend at the DeSoto Cultural Center. And earlier, you met artist Cindy Cook. I'm excited for us to chat more with her. Of course, Cindy's back with us. Cindy, good to have you again.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into this. To create a piece of art, you go through several stages. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. When I started this whole process, it starts out with a flat piece of metal.
Okay.
And then whatever is happening in this mind right here. So usually, again, it's flat. So I wanted to make a textural type of artwork that you really want to touch.
Sure.
So how do I do that? So I had to teach myself how to do that. And artwork is a lot of playing around, making mistakes, and you learn from those. And sometimes those mistakes are your biggest pieces and most wonderful pieces.
Wow. Isn't that the most interesting thing about art?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and metal, it seems so difficult. Like, I wouldn't even know where to start. So kudos to you.
Well, thank you.
So what can you tell us about the pieces that you've brought with you today?
This piece is something that it's process of taking a piece of copper and burning it with a torch and just keep burning it and burning it and burning it and hammering and hammering and hammering. And then it kind of all goes together in this headdress.
It's beautiful.
This woman over here represents, it's called a warrior woman.
Okay.
And this is something that people really, really, somehow at these shows, they just fall in love with. And they just, each has a special meaning. And this one in particular has the hummingbird, which is to remind us that this is playful. Artwork, you know, is playful.
Well,
and it needs to have a, I want you to feel it.
And we do, because I told you that this piece, I absolutely love it. It's so interesting to hear the process of how it all starts. Okay, do you see art as a way of expressing your heritage, your Native American heritage and culture?
Absolutely. Here it is.
Yeah.
I told you earlier, I am adopted, so I did not grow up with this Native culture. But it's in my blood. It's in my hands, and this is what comes out.
When did you develop that love for art? Is this something that just kind of happened? Did you kind of want to start doing it? How did it all progress for you?
I have been doing art all of my life. The metal is relatively new. I knew what I had to do in order to get to this point. I had to teach myself to weld. I had to teach myself to run a plasma cutter. I had to learn to draw in a computer program, and then start putting things together. So it just is. It's a process, and it's slow, and it's meaningful.
It really is. Well, I'm so glad that you took that step. Well, you're showing and selling your artwork at the Indian Market this weekend at the DeSoto Cultural Center. What do you like about this event?
Well, this is my first time here.
Oh, wow.
So I'm very
okay.
excited. I have been doing Indian markets, and I don't know how any of you felt earlier when Eric was playing that music, but that is how you feel the whole entire weekend. So it's creative people that you're surrounding yourself with, so it's inspirational. You learn things. It just is beautiful.
It really is. And the spot where it is, everything ties in to make it incredible. So how can viewers learn more about you and shop your artwork?
Okay, I have a website. It's called CSK Metal Art and Design.
Okay.
So besides these products, I also will do custom designs as well. So give me an idea and we can maybe work on it.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Cindy.
Thank you for having me.
A pleasure to have you. And of course, the 21st Indian Market and Ceremonial Dance happens this weekend, June 4th and 5th at the DeSoto Cultural Center. Parking is free and admission is free for kiddos 12 and under. Get all the details online, DeSotoCulturalCenter.org. To learn more about the artwork of Cindy Cook, go to CSKMetalArtAndDesign.com. This segment was sponsored by the Fort Restaurant. Well, we are back to chat about a very fun and enriching cultural experience at the DeSoto Cultural Center. Well, Holly Kinney joins us again. She's the proprietress of the Fort Restaurant. Thanks for spending so much time with us this morning.
Thank you, Claudia.
Yes. Well, of course, we had to start with this question. The brownies, and here comes Danny with some of those now. They're so delicious. Now, these are famous, if you know what I mean. And they've got that Fort twist. Tell us about these.
Well, these are going to be actually sold at our Indian Market Powwow as part of our concessions, but these are a blonde brownie, and they're made with canola oil. Originally, I was with a farmer who grew canola seeds and would toast them, and we'd put the seeds in with the brownie, and we used to call them canola blonde brownies, but today we can't get the seeds anymore. Oh. But we use walnuts instead.
Well, walnuts
so
are good.
it's a real deep caramel, delicious blonde brownie, and they're so good, especially if you heat them up a little bit. But I'll give you a bite at the end of the segment.
I'm gonna have a bite with a glass of milk. Yes. Well, famous chefs and VIPs from all over the world come eat at the Fort. Can you share a story with us?
Sure. The Fort was one of Julia Child's favorite places to come. Her niece lived in Denver, and she knew my father and me. And she used to come up, and the #1 favorite thing that she would have would be buffalo bone marrow. We serve the bone marrow in the bone like a Lincoln log, and you scoop out, and they called it prairie butter at the time, and then you eat it on a crostini. And we've had President Chai, who is the president of Taiwan. She came a couple years ago, just before COVID. Michael Martin Murphy, many rock and roll bands from Red Rocks come, because we're only 2 miles south of Red Rocks.
Yeah, you're already in a beautiful location, but there's so much to do and see. And on the Fort property is a DeSoto Cultural Center, and this weekend it's the Indian Market Ceremonial Dance. It's really fun for the entire family. Lots of art, lots of music. What else can people expect?
Well, we have the Nature Experience, who are bringing all these live hawks and eagles and other animals, so they can talk about how important raptors were in Indian culture. And we also have exhibits from the Denver Museum of Nature and Science and History Colorado on the Ute exhibit and all of the, and we have a Remembering the Brave of all the fallen heroes that are Native American that served in our military.
Sure. Just watching everything here, what a neat experience for the entire family to see and to learn. Now, I know that there's going to be a very special dedication happening. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, the focus of our ceremonial dance is to honor an American Indian veteran who has served and fought for freedom. And this year it will be Sergeant Brad Blackcrow.
Okay.
And he had served in Iraq and had also been given the Medal of Terrorism Freedom. So we're really excited. He's coming up from Oklahoma to be honored. And we give a honoring Pendleton blanket with his name and service. And they sing the honoring song with many of the different powwow drummers. And so the Cheyenne, Southern Cheyenne, are coming up from Oklahoma and doing a full all-day 10 to 4 ceremonial songs and dances, and he will be the focus of it. But they'll also invite the public in. So if your kids want to dance the intertribal dance, they can come and dance with us in some of those dances.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a fantastic weekend and truly one of those events that makes a huge impact, not just on the community, but on all those who attend. So certainly one to do so in this 21 years in the making. Good for you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
All right. And of course, we had Eric Many-Winds Herrera here this morning. Let's hear a little bit more about him and his flute. The 21st Indian Market and Ceremonial Dance happens this weekend, June 4th and 5th at the Tesoro Cultural Center. Parking is free and admission is free for kids 12 and under. Get all the details online, tesoroculturalcenter.org. This segment was sponsored by The Fort Restaurant. Make your next dining adventure at The Fort. Go to thefort.com.